Hello everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to Afternoon Tea Time and a Card. I'm just gonna wait a little bit to make sure everybody can find me. I can see you guys all hopping on. Hello everyone. So this is my weekly Afternoon Tea Time and a Card. Just a few announcements. My hostess, I got the wrong one. I didn't print my June one. Scratch this. I have a new one for June. I'll have to post it on our Facebook page. So this is totally not gonna go for this video because we're in the month of June. So you guys, we have a lot of exciting things happening in June. The new kids collection started. I hope you guys will join me. I'm gonna have 2 Zoom classes in the month of June with the kit classes. So today I'm going to be showing you how to do the Stampin' Blends rubbing alcohol technique. I actually have 2 cards for you. Hello everyone, I can see you all hopping on. So glad you're here with me. So let me show you both cards because I'm going to do something different on each one. So these are the 2 cards I'm going to show you how to create today. And yes, they look like designer paper, but they're not. This is actually vellum cardstock on both. And I did my own background. And then once I show you how to do these cards, I'm going to show you a 3rd one that I did that came out pretty cool. So I'm going to start out with this one. So let me show you what I'm using for supplies. I'm using Flirty Flamingo ink. I'm using the Biggest Wish stamp set, and I'm using the big hello image. I love the fonts on some of these, and along with the bold images. This is a set of 11 stamps. I'm also using, you'll see that I have some gold foil on both cards. These are die cuts. And the die cuts are from the Quiet Meadow bundle. They're actually called Meadow dies. And you can see there's quite a few dies here with different flowers and branches. The 2 butterflies. And then the 2 little layers that you can use for sentiments. And I'm also using the Everyday Label Punch for the sentiment layer. Let me bring in all of the layers for card number 1. So you're going to see everything's white, but when we're done, it's full of color. It's so exciting. Now I have thick with basic white for the card base, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and fold on the score line. And then I have 3 different layers that all measure 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. We have vellum cardstock, basic white, and our adhesive sheets. And I've already gone ahead and cut out the die cuts for card number 1. So it'll be this cute little branch with the full butterfly. Now when you're doing this technique, and a piece of white for the sentiment. When you're doing this technique, you need some rubbing alcohol. You need 99 or 100%. The higher the better. If you have 70% at home, which most of us do, this technique will not work as well. You need the higher percentage. I ended up ordering this through Amazon just so I'd have some on hand. Okay, so we're going to start out with the vellum cardstock. And I'm also using Flirty Flamingo Dark Stampin' Blends and then Poppy Parade Dark Stampin' Blends. Oh, and we're also using the Gilded Leafing too. I forgot about that part. Okay, these are just my little tubes I'm going to use. To make it easier so that your cardstock doesn't warp, I use my Stampin' Pierce mat. And I'm going to use some washi tape just on the edge. And I'm going to tape that down. And that's why I use 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 because I'm actually going to cut this down when I'm done. It gives you more room to play with, and then you can just cut off the ends. Okay, so there's our vellum cardstock. Now I'm going to prepare my rubbing alcohol. I'm going to put some in this little artist tray. I'm just going to fill 2 of these up just to make sure I have enough. And I want to put the lid right on my alcohol so I don't make a mess. So now what I'm going to do is use both of these markers, and I'm just going to color. And you don't have to be fussy, just color away. Just fill in the vellum cardstock. Okay, now I'm going to use the Flirty Flamingo. That was Poppy Parade. And you don't have to touch these together. Just scribble. This is so fun. This is so easy. If you have kids and grandkids, they would love this. See how quick I did that? Now I'm going to use a paintbrush. I'm going to dip in the alcohol. And I'm just going to tap. And you're going to see that that's going to start moving around. You can see the magic. So that's how you do this background. It's so easy. Just tap, tap, tap. And you can go over more than once. The one I'm going to show you at the end is really cool because I actually let it dry twice. Now look how cool that is. I'm just going to add a little bit more here. And you can go ahead and let it dry, but because I'm doing a video today, I'm just actually going to use my heat tool. I don't want this to move around too much, so I'm going to hold it quite high because you can move it. See how it moves around? You can move it if you'd like to. It spreads, or just hold it really high up and it'll dry it the way that it's sitting. And this is rubbing alcohol, so it dries really fast. Okay, that's dry already. So see how easy that was? So now I'm going to take the washi tape off. And I only use 2 colors. You can use more than 1 color if you want, or more than 2 colors if you want. Now, my next step, let me bring in all my pieces. Now this looks pretty dull, but look what happens when you add white below it. See how those colors really pop? So what we're going to do, and because I don't want my adhesive to show through the vellum, that's where my little adhesive sheets come in. I'm just going to peel off the end. I find that it comes off easy when you use a piercing tool. So I'm doing the back side. I'm going to put that on and then I'm going to burnish it with my bone folder. I'm going to do everything, glue everything together, and then I'm going to trim it to the size that I want. Okay, so there's my adhesive sheet. Now I'm going to peel the other side, and this becomes a giant sticker. And you can see that the adhesive doesn't show through the vellum. So now we're going to add it to the white layer. I'm just going to press down on it. And then I'm going to bring in my trimmer. And we're going to trim the ends off. So this one is going to measure 3 3/4 by 5. So look how nice and clean that is when I cut the ends off once I have this all done and it's all dry. Okay, so again, this is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And we're not done. Notice the gold that I have in the background. Okay, I'm going to bring in my gold gilded leafing. And I'm going to grab this, put some liquid glue on here. And I'm actually, I can't remember what I used. I think I just used the tip of the glue. And I kind of just kind of swish it on there. You can use a paintbrush if you want. You know what? I'm going to see if I have another paintbrush because I think that's what I used. Oh, you know what I used? I just remembered. I used my painter's palette. That's what it was. I'm just kind of swishing it on there wherever. Just stick it wherever you feel like. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the gilded leafing. We're gonna smush that. Not too fast so it doesn't go flying everywhere, right? And then it looks like we have a huge mess, but we don't. I'm just gonna rub the sponge. And you're gonna see some beautiful gold appear on the background. Oh, I'm making a mess. Okay, so you can see here how I added the gold to the background. You can go really thin. I kind of went thick on this one compared to my first one. But look how pretty that is. Look how shiny and pretty. So I made my own background. Let me just see. I need to take this away because I'm going to end up with this stuff all over me. I can just see this now. Oh, look, I'm making a mess. Hold on. I can't grab it because it's so fine. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to use a wipe. Okay, so now let me put the lid on this. We're going to need it for card number 2. So there's my card base. Here's my pretty little background I just created. Now we're going to add Stampin' Dimensionals. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of hearts. You guys, you really need to try this. This is so much fun. I promise you'll love it. It's really not that messy either. Okay, so I'm going to glue this in place with the dimensionals. I'm going to have to wipe that. There's some more loose stuff on there. Okay. Next, we're going to add the little branch and the little butterfly. And for that, I used the mini dimensionals because the flowers are just the perfect size for the mini. I'm going to add a couple. And then my butterfly. And what I did, because the stem is so skinny, I just added liquid glue to the end of my stem, and I'm just going to press that flat. Okay, so this is going to go right here. Look how pretty. And then we're going to add the butterfly right there. And now we're going to do the sentiment. Now, I have a little tip on the sentiment. Because this is so large and so bold, you have to be careful not to over ink it. So what I found, what I've been doing is just taking the stamp and I'm just letting it sit there, and it's actually inking itself because it's so bold. I'm hoping. See, I just re-inked my ink pad. This is a hard stamp. I probably shouldn't have inked my ink pad before I went live. Let me try this again. I'm just going to let it sit there. Yeah, that's better this time. I didn't press on it at all. I just let it sit there and absorb the ink. And then we're going to cut it out. And I'm going to add the large dimensionals. And remember, there's always 2 sides to your cardstock. Now I need to press down to hold that in place. And I wanted to show you the difference in the stamping blends. Now on this card, I used the Real Red, and this one is the Poppy Parade. So you can see the difference. One is so much brighter. And then we're going to glue that. You know what? I put these on the wrong end. Let me see if I can peel them and put them on this end. I wanted them on this end so they fit over the little branch. Okay, so there's card number 1. So you can see, like I said, the difference between Real Red and Poppy Parade. And then, of course, the Flirty Flamingo is very light in the background. So now let's move on to card number 2. Now this one, I am using Dark Night of Navy and Light Shaded Spruce. You know what? I grabbed the wrong one. This should be Misty Meadows. Hold on. Should Should be Misty Moonlight. There we go. Dark Misty Moonlight, not Night of Navy. Okay, so this is card number 2. We're going to do the same thing. Now this one measures 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So let me go ahead and fold that so it's all ready. And we have the same measurements on the vellum cardstock, the basic white, and the adhesive sheets, like card number 1, 5.5 by 4 1/4. So again, I'm going to use, there's my little gold pieces. I'm going to use washi tape to hold this down. If I can find the end, here it is. And what I did with this one, I didn't color the whole vellum cardstock. I selectively just did a couple corners of it. And I'm going to show you a little trick on this one too. Okay, so there's my panel. Now I'm going to do the top left-hand corner. I'm just going to color, and the bottom right. Now this one is light shaded spruce. Okay, so now we're just doing corners. Let me go ahead. I'm going to just rinse my brush here to get the red out of it. And we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to tap, tap, tap. Whoops, I grabbed the wrong one. I don't want to get red in there. Tap, tap, tap. Isn't it cool how that just moves? The ink just moves. It's really neat. Okay, this time what I'm going to do on this one, I'm going to dry it first. You can see that it's moving around just a tad. I'm going to try not to move it too much. You're seeing the wetness from underneath. That's not a big deal. Okay, now notice how I have some little bubble-like splotches there. Once I dry this, I can actually go back in and drop just drops of it, and you'll see it traveling, and it'll add more color to your splotches. But see how that's traveling and it's making rings? And you'll see the one I'm going to show you later actually has 3 layers of rings on it. Okay, I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm going to dry it one more time. I'm going to turn it around too and dry the back side. And you'll see the pop of color when I add the white behind this. Okay. Now let me go ahead and remove these. So you can see that I've got 2 corners done. Whoops. So again, I'm going to dig out my adhesive sheet. If I can get the corner going. And we want the back side. And again, I'm going to burnish with my bone folder. Peel this off. Where's my corner? Come on. Okay, this one's being stubborn. There it is. Again, now I have a giant sticker. And look what's going to happen. Look how it's not so bright, but look what happens when you put it on the white. Isn't that pretty? Now we're going to trim this. So let me go ahead and take off a little bit on this side. We're going to do the same thing, 3 3/4 by 5. And then we're going to add some gold. Okay, so there's my little piece. Whoops. Now we're going to bring in some more glue. And my little palette knife. And I'm just going to add. And again, you don't have to be fussy with this. You can put it on thick if you want. You can put it on very thin. I just kind of dabble it here and there. And the gilded leafing just sticks so well to it. Okay. One more time with the gilded leafing. Now this is just in the corner, so I'm just going to go and press that down in the corner. Now see, I just did a little bit on that one. That's pretty. I'm just going to push that over. Okay, here is my branch and my butterfly. And I've already gone ahead and done my sentiment with Misty Moonlight. So now we're going to do the same thing and glue these two die cuts with the mini dimensionals. And right here I cut one in half actually, so that I could add some right in the middle there. So I just added one piece right there. And then again, I'm gonna add the liquid glue. Oh, actually we don't need liquid glue way at the end because we're gonna have to trim this. It's a little too long. So we're gonna lay this down first. It's gonna go right here. And I'm gonna trim that on this side. And then I'm going to add my butterfly. Cute, cute. We're going to add the sentiment. But you guys, there's so many Stampin' Blends colors. Can you imagine the color combinations you can come up with? That's going to go right there. And then I'm going to bring in my card base. My counter is a disaster. That gilded leafing is sticking to everything. I must have some sticky glue on my counter. It'll be clean for my next class, I promise. Okay, and this is card number 2. So let me bring both cards back in. So there's those. Now the third one I want to show you that I did this morning. It was kind of neat. So what I did is I used Rich Razzleberry and I can't remember what color. I think it was Shaded Spruce. I did the whole background first. I dried it. Then I did the big dots. So number 2, rubbing alcohol. I dried it. And then I added the smaller one. So this is 3 times, drying twice and adding rubbing alcohol 3 times. And look how pretty over the white cardstock. So you can see that by adding white to the background, that really makes it pop and it looks really great on your cards. So I hope you liked my technique for today. And I will pick a winner to win one set of these cards. I'll announce the winner tomorrow. Thanks so much for visiting with me. And I will see you again next week. Bye-bye, everyone.